So in this video, I'm just going to be identifying some common molecular ions, some common polyatomic ions, and these are the ones that are going to be most useful to any students sort of studying any chemistry exams. And these are also going to be useful for writing the formula of different compounds, which we'll get into in the next video. So the first molecular ion you want to be familiar with are ones with +1 charges. Now obviously we know that group 1 elements form these +1 charges, but there is one molecular ion that you should know that forms this +1 charge, and that is NH4. NH4 plus, and this is known as ammonium. NH4 is ammonium, and I won't do this for all of them, but I'll just show you a sort of ammonium. So ammonium is formed from ammonia plus like a hydrogen. So there's this thing called a dative covalent bond here, what have you, and this is just the ion of ammonium. So that is probably one of the only positive 1 charged molecular ions that you need to know about. So the next lot of molecular ions that you should know about are ones with negative 1 charges. So the first one is obviously going to be our OH minus, and this is known as our hydroxide ion. Hydroxide. The second one we should know about is nitrate, which is going to be NO3 minus. Nitrate. The next one you should be common with is the Nao2 Nitrite. Nitrite minus. Just notice the very little difference here between the A and the I, indicating the 3 oxygens and then the 2 oxygens. The next one we're going to look at is hydrogen carbonate, which is just a carbonate ion with hydrogen minus. This is hydrogen carbonate. Very easy to remember, very easy to name, because we have our hydrogen ion, we have our carbonate ion, we have our overall negative charge. Next with the negative ion is cyanide. So in cyanide we actually have a carbon atom bonded with 3 covalent bonds to the nitrogen, and this is also going to have our negative charge. This is most commonly known as cyanide. And the last one I'm going to show you in this video for just the common polyatomic ions is permanganate, MnO4 minus. This is known as permanganate. Hope I've spelled that right. So these are I recommend you writing these down on a poster somewhere, put them up on a wall, maybe some flashcards, just to try and help memorize all these different ions. You just go ahead and get rid of these very quickly. Oh gosh, I'm not sure what just happened there. Right, the second lot are -2 ions. A little bit up here. -2 ions. And the first one we're going to look at is sulfate. SO4 2 minus. We'll do the minuses in this purple colour. I like the purple colour. 2 minus. Sulfate. The next one we're going to look at is our sulfide ion, which is just an S, just a sulfur ion. And this is actually called sulfide. Sulfide. So the next one to look after this would be SO3 2 minus, which is going to be called sulfite. You can see how the names can be a little bit confusing here, but just think no oxygen, ide. I mean, 4 oxygens, 8, and 3 oxygens with ite. Like with nitrite, don't compare it to nitrate actually, that's got 2 oxygens. See how this can get confusing, but you just need to memorize. Next to look at is going to be our S2O3 2 minus ion, and this is called Thiosulfate. Thiosulfate. Obviously we could have our S2 2 minus ion, and this would be called just disulfide. The next 2 minus ion I'm going to look at here is our carbonate ion, CO3 2 minus. It's just a simple carbonate ion I did mention very previously. Carbonate. Just let me get rid of some of this stuff here. Okay. Cool. So the final one I'm just going to look at here is going to be sorry, I'm going to look at 2 more here. The first one's going to be chromate 2 minus. Chromate, and the last one here is going to be dichromate. And you may realize dichromate from maybe potassium dichromate, used in oxidations of alcohols as a sort of oxidizing agent. But if not, don't worry, because I haven't covered that yet on my YouTube channel. And finally, the last one I'm going to look at is, well, our -3 ions. There are only 3 of them. Yeah, and the first one is phosphate, so PO4 3 minus, which is phosphate. Second, quite similar one, just one less oxygen and a little alteration in the name, is going to be PO3 3 minus, which is just phosphite here. And the last one I'm just going to show you is N3 minus, which is nitrite ion. Cool. So if I were to give you the names of maybe permanganate, phosphite, and maybe let's see if you can do this, Just, and maybe sulfate. Just see if you can pause the video here and draw these molecular ions. So permanganate is going to have a negative charge. We should be able to draw it as our manganate, manganese, and then our 4 oxygens, the negative 1 charge here. Permanganate. Next, phosphite. We have just done this one. This is going to be our PO3 with our 3 minus. Any ions, any common ions with a phosphorus in them and oxygen, they're probably going to have a charge of -3. And our sulfate, it's going to have a -2 charge, and it's going to look a little bit like this: SO4 2 minus. So I'll just do one more set of questions here for you guys. Try and draw cyanide, draw nitrite, and try and draw thiosulfate. Just pause the video here, see if you can draw these molecular ions. Now cyanide is just going to be our CN with our negative charge we've seen previously. Remember, I tend to remember cyanide just because of the 3 bonds. I like the 3 bonds, I like the look of them. I think, cyanide, 3 bonds, negative charge, not that it has any relation, but I think it's if you can make little references, it's easier to remember them. So nitrite, we're going to have our NO2, the 1 minus, our 1 minus here, and thiosulfate. This is probably one of the harder ones to remember. It's just S2O3 2 minus. Just think any ion beginning with thio relates to sulfur in some kind. So hopefully you're able to understand the different sorts of molecular ions, the most common ones, at least referenced in A level, and make sure to just put them on posters, flashcards, just get them in your memory, because you use them so often, it's worth learning. Thanks for watching.